Real stories,
Real people.
Real heroes.
the Real Heroes Network.
Hello, what's going on, everybody out there? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Real Heroes here on the Real Heroes Network. If you tuned in last week, you guys saw the interview I did with Zach. We talked about his background, upbringing, some obstacles and challenges that he faced, and how he was able to overcome these things and create the life for himself that he'd always imagined, but during some of these times, he really never thought was attainable. A lot of the praise he gave, unfortunately, was to this lady who's I am sharing the screen with today. I'm excited because episode 2 means a second hero and somebody else that we're going to be talking about and sharing bits and pieces of their story. So if you're wondering who this lady is right here, you might know her from a few different places. It's my sister-in-law, unfortunately, but might have seen her on YouTube somewhere, on TikTok. I feel like every other day one of her videos are going viral for something. Multi-talented, also a huge pain in the ass, but I do love her dearly. Nasya Merook. Nas, how's it going?
It's good. It's good.
It's good. So you're probably wondering why you're here. Kind of.
Yeah.
I know
I'm
we
def
talked a
no
little
hero.
bit. Yeah, no. I mean, I just needed content for the day. It's just filler.
Okay.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I had Nas come on because we've been talking off and on. She's got her own YouTube channel and she does a lot of things on there. We'll make sure we put that plug in at the end of the episode so you can check it out. But from the background, I'm gonna get all mushy and probably make her cry or something. But I've been watching Nas since she was like a little baby thing where you like 15, 14. Just
Yeah, somewhere around there.
just a little thing. And it's been pretty cool just watching her kind of go from teenager to a mom to a wife, and just kind of watching her grow over the years, and just some of the things that she's kind of gotten into. She's really easy to like and really easy to hate because she just is really good at everything, and I just can't stand that. She's shaking her head, but she knows it's true. And not only watching her do things that are really well, but just overcome some things in life, and kind of to do what she's doing right now while also battling some of the things is actually really cool. That's part of the reason that she's on here, and that we're going to kind of ease our way into that. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, told Nas that I wanted to give her the first 5 or 10 minutes or so to kind of share her background, her upbringing, and just a quick summary of her life, pretty much. So, Nas, take it away.
All right. So I was raised in a family of 6 children, and I am the second youngest. So we were all like really, really close knit growing up. Obviously, you're married to my sister Ashley. I mean, we had like a pretty normal childhood. My mom was like always really protective of us. We were homeschooled most of us were homeschooled for a large majority of our lives, which caused some of us to be socially awkward.
You don't say.
Well, I think Ashley had the least of those issues. She's always been pretty capable socially, but like everything was normal. I mean, we were raised like in a church, and I mean, there's really nothing special about it. If you like heard my husband talk about his upbringing, when I met him, I was like, wow, I was a spoiled brat. I don't realize how spoiled you are until you meet somebody. Because, as a teenager, you always have that like teenage angst where you're like fighting with your mom. You're like, my life sucks. But then I met Zach and I was like, yo, my mom is awesome.
Just a slight difference in each other's stories.
Huge difference. But I mean, yeah, nothing special. I mean, I met Zach when I was 20? I had just turned 20 when I met him, and I had already had one child at that point. I got pregnant in high school. Things didn't work out with the dad, but we are very good friends now, which is great for my oldest daughter.
So I'm happy you said that. Now we're going to take a quick stop right here because I'm having you tell your story for a reason. So this is the first area that I kind of wanted to stop and ask you a few questions on. I feel like there are teen moms all over the place, and you kind of see them take very different paths in life. Some of them do really well, some of them don't, some of them have support, some of them are on their own. And how did you kind of navigate that? Because I know you talk about being from a very close-knit but like kind of strict upbringing, and now all of a sudden you're in high school, you're a teenager, you're pregnant. What was all that like for you?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so you know my mom. My mom is very religious. She takes her religion very seriously. And there are some key points in that religion that are very important to her, such as like the whole premarital, relations. That's not a thing. That shouldn't be a thing for her. So when I found out I was pregnant, I was 17, and I was like, oh God, how do I tell my mom? It was like my biggest fear in the entire world. And I told my mom, and it was like, so she was sitting in her room and she was watching TV, and I came in, and she has this like sixth sense. Like she knows
Yes,
things,
she
and like
does.
it's crazy. She just knows them, and you don't even have to give her the slightest hint. She just knows exactly what you're going to say. But I came in and I was like, or she paused the TV and I was like, I have to tell you something. And I was like, I'm pregnant. And it was complete silence for a good 15 minutes, which is horrible. That is probably the worst thing you could ever
Especially
experience
from your
when
mom,
you're
who's always talking.
exactly. Like growing up, we were always afraid of my mom, even though my dad yelled, my mom whispered, and that's terrifying.
Oh, God.
But being in a room with her, and she was completely silent. And, obviously my parents were really, really pissed off at me for a while. But eventually they became really supportive. I did finish out my senior year. I didn't really have any problems with like people bullying me. Like I know people say that teen moms get bullied a lot, and that's a big problem, and it's like stigmatized and everything. But I didn't have issues with people bullying me or anything. I graduated a week after I had Ava. So after that, I just started. Well, I was already working at the time. So I was an honor student my entire way through high school. I took a lot of like dual enrollment college courses and stuff. And I worked, and I just pretty much kept myself busy. So I didn't really give anybody a chance.
What was that process like? I mean, you're, being a teen mom in high school, and I'm sure you have a bunch of friends who don't really know what it's like to kind of be a teen mom and have all these new responsibilities. So how did you find a way to kind of like balance those two? Because those are two very different worlds.
I mean, with my mom, not to talk badly about my mom, because I really appreciate the way that she raised us, but I wasn't ever really like the type of person to go out and hang out with people all the time anyway. So that part was not any different for me. Like usually I would just get off from school, go to work. I worked at a little dental office downtown as a chairside assistant and a receptionist. So even after I got pregnant, nothing really changed in that aspect. Like I wasn't the type of person to like go out and party with my friends or go shopping all the time. I had a few close friends, and that was it. I mean, I was nice to everybody, but I just had a few good friends that I would spend my time with, and nobody ever really treated me any differently. I mean, it pretty much was a smooth transition, as smooth as it can be.
Yeah.
Being pregnant at 17, but
did it really hit you to, I mean, when you're kind of in the moment living it, I guess you don't really, hindsight is 2020. So you probably look back now as an adult and be like, damn, like I had a lot going on and I was still able to do all these things. But when you're 17, 18 and kind of in that moment, are you thinking about those things, or are you just on the go all the time?
Yeah, I was just on the go all the time. Now that I'm 24 and I look back at it, sometimes I'm like, I wonder what like would have been different like in those times, especially after I was 18 and I was like able to kind of leave the house as I pleased. I always found myself wondering what life would have been like. Not that I wished it would have been any different, because I wouldn't change any of it for the world.
Awesome.
But
and I am very happy because I have one of the most adorable nieces in the world, who is extremely smart, probably too smart for her own good.
Yes.
But she is one of my favorites. Don't tell any of the other ones that, but Ava, she's adorable.
She's my favorite too.
Yeah, she's funny. She's very entertaining too. But enough about Ava. Let's get back to you, Nas. So let's fast forward a couple of years. So you have Ava, and talk about meeting Zach. So tell me kind of like how you guys met. I know he explained his side of it, but I want to hear yours.
So I was working at a restaurant down in the Lehigh Valley called Tilty Kilt. So it's kind of like a pub bar, kind of like Hooters. Basically, it's the same idea. Maybe a little bit more risque.
But just a tad.
just a smidge.
Fine.
But my one friend texted me. It was a mutual friend of ours, and I had been friends with this guy for years. And he texted me. He was like, "Hey, I'm coming down. I'm bringing my one friend down to visit. We're gonna like grab a bite to eat and stuff." And as soon as he walked in the door with Zach, I saw Zach, and I was like, "Ooh, I want him." And I was pretty much like in his face the entire night. I literally would not let them leave without me. I was like, "Oh, you guys have to hang out with me after work." I was being that like stage 5 clinger. Within the first 20 minutes that I met him, I was like asking him about his deepest, darkest secrets. And like,
I mean, it worked out for the
take
best
me home
eventually.
with you.
That's hilarious.
But we were inseparable for the 3 days following that. I mean, we literally didn't leave each other's side. I introduced him to my daughter. I met his whole family. We took things really, really fast, and he never even actually asked me out. We just considered each other to be like boyfriend and girlfriend from the day that we
soulmates.
met. Yes, exactly. It's really odd.
That's adorable and kind of creepy at the same time. But so when you found out that he was in the military and really wasn't going to be around very much, did that bother you at all? Did it deter you from anything? Or were you just like, what was your space like?
So the fact that he was in the military was a big attraction factor for me. Obviously, that's always been something that's really attractive to me. When I found out that he was only home on emergency leave for a deployment, I was pissed. I was like, you can't do that to me. You can't just throw me into this. But I think we spent the next 3 months where he had gone out and like spent all the extra money to have an international phone plan and everything just so that he could talk to me every spare chance that he got. And like, I just hung out with my friends and stuff to keep myself occupied within those 3 months so that I wasn't like really depressed. It did suck, but it wasn't as bad as I think a lot of people thought that it would be.
This is another place that I wanted to stop in. So another really cool point. So you are young, have a child, have a job, you've got, things are going well for you. Meet this guy who, I mean, I have to admit, he's pretty cute. Hit it off, but you decided to kind of remain loyal to that relationship, I guess you would call it, even though it technically wasn't official, but to, Zach being away, and you guys kind of made things work in that situation, which is, I mean, in today's day and age, when I feel like relationships are so fast and people are always looking for the next thing, and there's social media and all these things going out there, you kind of stood loyal to what you had there. Talk about kind of your process for all that. I know you mentioned it a little bit, but what was going through your head?
It was a really odd experience for me because if anybody knows me, I like change a lot. I'm one of the few people that really love change. I don't do anything on routine. I have an issue being with the same person for a long period of time. I tend to get bored with people very quickly. And I can handle like a year or two here and there. And then I'm like, I'm kind of bored. I'm ready to like move on to somebody else. I'm horrible. This is so bad.
This is the old you.
This is the old me. Okay. I still really enjoy change, but something about Zach was just different to me. And he was so selfless and like genuinely like just a good down to earth person. And like the more that I got to know him, the more I was like, okay, that's it. Like, I don't care. Life can be so interesting still. And I don't have to constantly like find somebody new because Zach makes it interesting for me. And he like lets me be me. So any other dude that I had ever been with would be like, don't cut your hair like that. Don't color your hair. Why do you do so much makeup? Why do you wear this? Blah, blah, blah. Zach never cared about any of that. He was like, if you want to do it, go for it. When I shaved my head, he was a little bit upset. But other than that, he's always given me free reign when it comes to like my appearance and my decisions. He never expected anything out of me. And I think that works for us because I'm so flighty and like I change my mind over everything. And he's just kind of like go with the flow.
It takes works. A very special person to love Nas. And if Zach has lasted this long, he is a freaking superhero. I'll tell you that.
Yep, he is.
But so I'm happy you said what you just said. So we talked about obviously being teen mom, finding love in a very difficult situation at a young age, making it work. You guys are married now, have kids now. Awesome. We're going to get into that in a second. But shaving your head. So this is the third point that I wanted us to touch on. You were hitting all of them. I swear we didn't plan this at all. What? I guess, what was your thought process? Tell everybody who's listening, tell them what you're talking about.
All right. So a few months before my wedding, I decided that I wanted to cut my hair off. And I had pretty long hair. I mean, my hair was probably like, like right about here.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I'm tired of, I had just had Maddox, right? So I had been dealing with a bit of postpartum hair loss, and like my hair was just falling out in clumps, and I was feeling really down on myself, and it was just grossing me out. And I had bleached my hair so many times that it was just really unhealthy. And I was like, screw it. I'm just going to go get a pixie cut. So I went to the salon, and the chick who did it, April, she was like, you're doing this like a couple of weeks before your wedding. Like, what is wrong with you? Are you psychotic? I was like, yes, I am. Thank you for asking.
Just a little bit.
That is the name of the game. But the pixie was awesome. I mean, I held that throughout my wedding and then a couple of weeks after that. And then what had happened was I continued to get it cut, and then I had it shaved on the sides, and it was like really long on top. And one day I was like, I really want to grow my hair back out, but I don't know how to start because I had all these like really uneven lengths. And I was like, let's just shave it. Right. So I went on YouTube and I watched all these videos on YouTube of people shaving their heads. And I was like, these chicks look so hot. I'm going to do it. So I came home and I told Zach, and Zach was like, please just think about it for like a minute. And that pissed me off because don't tell me like to think about something, or don't tell me that I'm making a poor decision. That's going to make me want to do it more. So people telling me not to do something, I have like a defiance issue. I'm like, I'm going to do it now just because you told me not to. And because I'm going to look bad with it, I'm going to do it anyway. So Zach was mad at me, and I was like, I'm just going to go over to Amanda's house. So I went over to my best friend's house, and a couple of my other friends were there, and I gave my other friend's husband the buzzer. And I was like, take the guard off and shave my head. And he did it. And it was a lot. I mean, I liked it for a couple of days. And then I was like, all right.
What was your initial reaction like to being like, oh my God, like I literally just did that?
I don't know. I don't even think I really thought it was that crazy. That's how psychotic I am. I was like, this is fine. Like, everything's fine. I didn't have that much hair to start off with. I think like the length of my hair on top was probably like this long. I don't know if that makes any sense to anybody watching, but
it's fine.
And the sides were already shaved. So
what did Zach say when you got home?
He was pissed. And he was like, I told you to think about it. Why'd you do that? He wasn't like mad, but kind of more like, I know how she's going to feel about this decision in a couple of days because he knows exactly how I am. And he was like, you should have thought about it. You're going to regret it. And I was like, shut up. It's fine. I look hot. Okay. A week later, I was like crying. I'm like,
I remember when it happened. And my personal take from it was, so when I first saw Nas, I didn't recognize her. And once I recognized her, I laughed hard for like months. And I still think about it and laugh because it was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. But to Nas's credit, once all the jokes ended and everybody stopped laughing, she did talk about how empowering it was to kind of take control over her look and how she feels. And to me, in my head, I feel like that was kind of one of the things that started her along this path that she's on now, which we're about to get into. But she took ownership over her look and her hair, and she was a rebel and kind of did what she wanted to do. So while it was really funny, it was also really cool, which is why I'm glad she brought it up here. Kudos, Nas. A lot of people don't have the bravery to do that.
stupidity.
Or stupidity. I feel like stupidity and bravery, it's a very slim line between the two. So we covered Teen Mom, we covered Young Love, buzzing all of your hair off. And so talk to me about the last year or two of life. What have you been up to?
After I buzzed my hair off, I kind of just realized that I really enjoyed doing stupid things with my appearance and just wanted to try a whole bunch of crazy crap. So I, within the last year, started filming myself dyeing my hair unnatural colors, right? The first video that I made, I took a color that wasn't actually my natural color, but it was as close as I could get it after I was blonde for a while. I went from like a light brown to a hot pink and orange ombre, and I posted the video on YouTube. And I want to say like 6, 7, 8 months later, Brad Mondo saw my video and shared it on one of his. And at this point, I had been not regularly uploading videos, but maybe like 2 or 3 a month, and just like trying different hair colors. I think I've done just about every color of the rainbow besides yellow. I've done pretty much all of them at this point. But after he saw my YouTube channel, it kind of like snowballed after that. So at that point, I only had a few hundred subscribers, and then I started going up, up, up. And then I did another video where I shaved my head again at home. I gave myself a pixie cut, and that one started to go viral. And then it was like every once in a while I'd have one really good viral video. And then my most recent, I decided to try a bunch of wigs because I had just cut all my hair off again. And that one is now at 70,000 views. And that's the one that really got me to like the point that I'm at now, where I'm monetized on YouTube. So like all of my videos have ads, and I get paid for people to watch through those ads, basically.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Has it really hit you that this little girl from Tamaqua who was raised so just strict and religious is now being monetized on YouTube, and thousands and thousands and thousands of people are watching your videos? And I read your comments. I mean, I know I make fun of you a lot, and it's all just out of love, but reading your comments, like some of these people like religiously watch your videos and like,
it's weird.
praise you for like, and some of these. So Nas was saying that her most recent video got 70,000 views. I was reading one of her comments that, and it was like, it was sad for me to read, but it was also really cool that some of her subscribers are like cancer survivors. So a lot of them, you know, go through chemo, lose their hair, and watch these videos and figure out which wigs work and which ones don't. So it was actually like, as much as I make fun of Nas, when I go through and read some of the comments, I'm like, this is really cool. Like when you read stuff like that, like how does that feel?
It's surreal. It's very odd because when I look in the mirror, I still see, you know, just myself.
Mm-hmm.
But people, I don't even know how to talk about it. It's so odd. Some of the stuff that people comment on there really like either get to me, like really get on my nerves, and like, why did you say that? And then other times I'm like, oh, these people really love me. Like,
that is the nature of being on the internet. You're gonna get a little bit of everything. So
like not a lot of negativity, actually. I feel like I could have had a lot more negativity, but I'm a perfectionist. So one little negative comment will eat me alive for weeks on end. And Zach will never hear the end. He's like, just shut up. It's fine. Like it's one person out of like 10,000. Like, I don't care.
It's still one person. His opinion matters.
One person. Yes.
Now you don't just do hair videos. You also do makeup.
Yeah.
So talk to me about that.
I've actually been straying away from makeup tutorials a little bit because it seemed like they didn't get as much attention as the hair videos did. I never took it as seriously as my hair. I started off doing my makeup when I first started working at Tiltakill, and I was really, really, really bad at it.
Yeah, she was.
Like my eyebrows look like straight up bricks. I went into work and I had like glasses, and you could like my whole forehead was missing because my eyebrows were that thick. It was really bad. And I didn't know how to wear eyeshadow. And I would do like these weird triangles on my eyes. I'm like, look at my eyeshadow today. It looks so good. But it really didn't. I was bad.
Oh, that feels like it was just the other day.
I know. Over the years, I kind of just like started to get a love for it. And I grew to have an addiction to buying makeup and like collecting it. And now as I get older, I run out of time to do my makeup as often, and I don't go anywhere. So there's no point in me doing really nice makeup.
Now, Nas is being really humble right now, but I know you watched a lot of YouTube videos, but you taught yourself how to do a lot of your own makeup.
Yes. And I taught myself how to do all of it.
And if anyone watches her videos or seen some of the crazy things she's done, so when you dye your hair, a lot of times Nas will do her makeup to match the hair that she just said. It's really good. And so you've kind of taught yourself how to do that. Again, she's denying she's just good at everything. But I'm being honest, she really is good at everything. So is it difficult to do? Was it hard to master all these things? Is it just something that came naturally to you, or when did you see progress, or did you just wake up and you're like, I'm just really good at this now?
I feel like it's a little bit of all of those things. If you ask Zach, he'll say that everything that I touch turns to gold. That's a lie.
It is
No,
not true.
it's not. It's not true. But I don't know. It kind of goes along with that whole I'm a perfectionist thing. So when there's something that I want to do, I'm going to keep doing it until it is literally as perfect as it can possibly be. That comes with everything. Singing, crocheting, baking cakes, makeup, hair. If I'm not doing it like perfectly to my standard, I will continue to nitpick at myself until it is perfect. And I think that's why I burn myself out so quickly too. I will be like really stuck in a hobby for a couple of months and then I'm like, I'm kind of tired of this. Crocheting, I started to get like carpal tunnel and I was like, nope, we're done with this.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's not one of the cooler things you can do to get carpal tunnel.
Right. Exactly.
So you like, is it one of the things where you don't like to do anything that you're not a perfectionist at, or is it I'm gonna keep doing this until I become one, or is it a little bit of both?
It's both. Like I bought a guitar and it was insistent on teaching myself how to play guitar. That guitar is still sitting in my dining room, but I would love to learn it. And I know that I can, I just need to find the time to do it. The only thing that I really will not try and won't even give the time of day is dancing. I hate dancing. I didn't want to dance with my husband at our wedding. I hate it. I hate it. You will never catch me. Oh wait, at JL's wedding, I danced a little bit. I have to be really intoxicated to dance.
I'm pretty sure we did a dollar dance at your wedding.
Yes, I think so.
So we're 60 seconds behind.
I have to be drunk. I have to be drunk for anybody. I like stiff the board. I'm like,
that's fair. That's fair enough. So backtracking a little bit, we're having too much fun here. Backtracking a little bit. So you're on YouTube now. You're monetized. Thousands of people all over the place are watching your videos, and your videos range from. So like, what do you have on your channel?
I have some makeup tutorials. I have clothing hauls, wig hauls. I do touch on like mental health and my experiences with different types of antidepressants and stuff like that. What else did I talk about? Talk about like my battle with social media and
yes, you're mentioning all these things. It's just so lovely. Just love how easy this all flows. So when did you do touch a little bit on mental health? And I know we've had some conversations before, but has it been something you've always kind of been cognizant of, or as you've kind of started to get older, is it something you've noticed?
No, as a child, I didn't really notice it. Like I said, I was homeschooled until 7th grade. Now, this is of no fault to my mom at all. I'm actually really glad that she homeschooled me. When I started in public school, I was really advanced compared to other students. But socially, I was not prepared. I definitely got made fun of quite a bit. And I was not a pretty child. I was like one of those ugly ducklings. I was just awkward looking, and that didn't help my case. So like, not only could I not socialize, but I wasn't one of the pretty girls, and I was a nerd, and I just got made fun of a lot. And I hated public speaking. Like, I can't talk in front of a lot of people. I can't sing in front of people. I hate when all the attention is on me. It makes me uncomfortable. Sometimes I stutter. It's just like a whole thing. I have serious social anxiety. My husband will even make fun of me for it, because like, even at grocery stores, if I feel like somebody is like looking at me, I will like have a mental breakdown. Like, stop looking at me. I hate being attention.
How in the world does someone who is not a fan of attention become, you're like on the verge or right there to becoming like a social media star? Like, how those two worlds are so opposite. How the hell did that happen?
I was always good at having imaginary friends. So talking to myself has never been a problem. It's easy when I'm sitting in this room. Actually, this is my bathroom. This is like my filming room, because every other room in our house is under construction. So it's different when I'm sitting in front of the camera, and I know that even if I really screw something up, I can cut it out of my videos, like through the editing process. As much as I hate editing videos, I know that like, I don't have to be perfect when it's just me in the room. And Zach will tell you, I won't film when he's home because I don't want him to hear me. It's that serious. Like, I don't want my kids to hear me. I don't want my husband to hear me. Like, no one is allowed to be anywhere near me, not in the same room, not in the same house. The kids go to bed, and that's the only time that I can sit down and like actually concentrate and not feel like self-conscious that somebody's listening to me. And
I resonate with that. I enjoy public speaking. I mean, as a job, I talk to hundreds of people a week, and I'm in meetings, I'm doing all these things, but I feel like, so this is why we're recording so late. I had to make sure nobody was awake, kids were asleep, because even though, see, we have very different we feel differently about it, but I feel very confident about public speaking and how I present myself. But I feel like when I get into these spaces, when I'm creating, I feel like a different side of me comes out that people don't really get to see very often.
Right.
And that's where the awkwardness kind of comes out for me, because I have the headset and the microphone, and I'm like a personality into this screen, and people can hear me, and I'm like, people don't really get to see that side of me. So I'm like, I need everyone, lights out. Everybody has to be asleep. Do not bother me.
Yeah. Well, I enjoy when everybody is far, far away when I do any of this. And I mean, it's kind of like you get to be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So like when you're public speaking, I feel like you're putting more pressure on yourself to be what everybody wants you to be so that they like you. But when I'm in my house and I'm by myself, I can say and do and act however I want, and nobody's going to say anything because I'm by myself. And if I read negative comments that bother me too much, I can just delete them. You know, like, not that I want to be the type of person that I want everybody to think that everybody likes me and that everybody's positive about me, because we all know that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
But I do it for myself personally, so that I'm not like beating myself up over things for weeks. It's just
would you say that, so kind of a weird way to battle those feelings, but do you feel like recording helps relieve some of that anxiety for you, even though you have videos going on the internet that you know people are going to watch? In that recording space, is it something that kind of soothes that or makes you feel a little bit better?
Yeah, it does. I mean, sometimes I still feel awkward when I'm like sitting in a room by myself, because like I have never had a good introduction or an outro to my videos. So those portions of the video are something like I'm always going to have to work on. It's always going to feel uncomfortable to me. It's not the most natural thing, but it's as natural as it can get for me to just sit in front of a camera and just be me.
Yeah, it took me a little bit. It took me a little bit. I resonate with that too.
Yes.
Recording
oh my
the
God.
podcast.
My first few videos on YouTube, I watch them, and I don't want to take them down because I would love people to see like where I progressed from. But my first few videos on YouTube were really rough.
Yeah, when
I watched my first one and I was like, yee.
When I started doing the podcast, it was no video, but just voice. It was, I didn't know how to introduce myself. I didn't really know what that whole thing was like. Now I feel really comfortable with it. But I do the same thing. I leave those up just because every now and then I'll listen to them. And it's pretty cool to just like listen to see your progress.
You to be able to look back. Yeah. And be like, this is what I was doing wrong. I'm glad I was able to improve on that. And I know a lot of people say like you don't give yourself enough credit. I feel like if you give yourself too much credit, then you become complacent, and then there's no room for improvement from there. So I will never be the type of person that's like, yeah, I'm all that. Like, I'm so good at these things. Because if I say that, then that means I can't get any better, and I need to constantly be improving. Perfectionist.
I like that. Of course. So back to your anxiety and that kind of like social panic. When did you, I know you said as at an early age, you started to kind of be aware of some of these feelings, but like, when did it really start to hit you that you're like, this is kind of funky. Like, I'm feeling this pretty strong right now.
Probably within the last couple of years, it's really hit me. I mean, waitressing always helped with that. Because it helped kind of force me to go out there and like introduce myself to strangers and stuff like that. But within the last like 6-ish years, I've really noticed that I have a serious problem being in public and feeling like there's attention on me. Especially it seems like it progressively gets worse, actually. Like the older I get, the more self-conscious I am about like what I look like and what people think of me, like, because I just want everybody to like me. Like, I don't want anybody to dislike me. And I think that's my biggest fear. But definitely in the last couple of years, it's like when I've really become attuned to the fact that I have social issues.
I wouldn't necessarily call them issues. I feel like socially awkward It's probably a good
Yes.
way to put it. And just, I think you're right, having that attention on you. And I think the thing that makes, and not to put it back on Zach, but the thing that I think makes you guys really cool is that Zach is kind of like the opposite. He enjoys
Yes.
when he's kind of like the goofy guy that everybody's looking at. And so I feel like that works for you because he takes a lot of the attention off of you. And it kind of makes you feel a little bit safer that everybody's like, oh, Zach's such a cool guy and blah, blah, blah. So
Yeah.
I feel like that dynamic works for you guys.
He's a social butterfly. Yeah. So he literally can get along with anybody. I don't think I've ever met anybody that doesn't like Zach. And it's actually quite annoying. Nobody I've ever met doesn't.
He's a good guy.
Like Zach. Like it's, yeah, he's amazing. But he just kind of says things and they're just funny. Like he's just one of those people that like no matter what comes out of his mouth, it's hilarious. And it's annoying when you live with him.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else thinks it's hilarious until you live with him and then your whole life becomes a joke.
And you're just like, well, what is this? What is happening right now?
Well, you don't know how to take him always because you're like, are you being serious or are you joking right now? So, well, I'm always joking, but there's always a little truth in those jokes. It's hard.
I love Zach. It's my buddy.
But he brings out the best in me. He does.
He does. And he helped you make even more adorable children. So you said earlier, so you're 24. You are I'm going to call you a social media star because I don't know anybody who is. So I need to get my rep up. You are a social media star. And you find time to balance your marriage and being a young mom and having 3 kids. So what are their ages?
I have a 6-year-old who's in 1st grade, and then I have 2 younger ones. My son just turned 3, and my youngest is my daughter, and she is 9 months. She's 9 months now. Wait.
We know how old she is. It's fine.
She's 9 months.
We know you're joking. It's fine. You knew that. How do you
9.
find time to balance being a mom and still making these videos and a wife and all of these different things at once? I know you were homeschooling for a period of time there. How do you find all the time to get all these things done?
I'm really bad at it. I'm not a good cleaner. If anybody ever comes to my house, they know I'm not very organized. I forget my kids' doctor's appointments. I forget their dance lessons.
Brutal honesty. I love it because people will paint this fake image that they're just like these perfect people and that they don't make any mistakes. And they're like, no, this is the brutal truth that you're getting right
now. I'm bad at it. Zach helps me out a lot. He will like do laundry because I hate laundry and I hate dishes. So like I'll clean the bathrooms, I'll clean the kids' rooms, I'll make the beds, all of that. I'll literally do everything in the house except I hate laundry and hate dishes. And Zach will come home from a long day at work and he'll come home at like 4:00 in the morning sometimes and he will do the dishes before he goes to bed. So he really helps me out there. I like to pass my kids off to my mother-in-law sometimes. She's really helpful. My mom too, but my husband's mom is like retired. She doesn't work. So she's home all the time. And I'm like, if I'm having a really bad day, Debbie, hey, can you take my kids please? Because I'm about to lose my mind.
See, but that's cool though. It is helpful to have a support system around you when you have anxiety and kind of like these panic feelings and you don't really get to take a break from being a full-time mom. It's not like you can just up and say, you know what, I don't want my kids. Now you have people around you who will help, but you are a mom 24 hours a day. Do you, and I know you said when you start to get kind of those feelings, you're able to have that support system around you. What does it mean to you to be able to do that?
Oh, it's so important because right now I have to plan to go to the grocery store. Mm-hmm. I don't know if there's a lot of 24-year-olds out there who are like, oh, I got to find a sitter for my 3 kids so that I can go pick up a bunch of broccoli at Walmart. It's hard. Sometimes it's a pain. I'm not going to lie, like being a mom is not always like all that. Sometimes I wish that I would be able to just get up and like go places, but I appreciate every second of it. And having like such a close-knit family has worked out really, really tremendously for me because like everybody lives so close to each other and it's like, hey, I'll text JL, hey, what are you doing? Can you grab Ava? Or like, can I drop Maddie off with you for a couple of hours? I got to go do this. And Zach's mom is always around to help us out. So it's really nice to have such a close-knit family.
That's awesome. And Nas isn't joking. I could literally throw a rock outside my window and I probably hit her in the forehead. Like we live that close together. So it's awful.
All of us do.
It's the worst thing. The worst thing that's ever happened to me. But that's awesome though. I feel like a lot of people who have social media or social mental health struggles or just different occurrences or panic attacks or anxiety attacks or anything like that have a really hard time acknowledging when they're feeling that way and admitting to people close to them, because it's like it's a conversation that doesn't really get had very often. I know when I was growing up, it was never a conversation, and I saw my mom struggling with it. I didn't know what it was at the time, but as I started to get older, I knew what it was, but we never had those conversations like ever, for whatever reason. And so unfortunately I had to learn about them as I became an adult. Not necessarily too late, but when I started to have my own struggles and feelings about things, I'm like, I don't really know what's happening because I was never educated on what these things were about. Like, did you guys ever talk about it?
No. As a kid, that wasn't like really a thing. I mean, it was kind of just like, suck it up, you're fine.
Yep.
Everybody, like, nobody's perfect. Everybody's gonna have bad days. I feel like, especially for me, I have social anxiety, but then I also had a really bad problem with postpartum depression, like bordering on postpartum psychoses. It was really bad. And like my mom, so I never thought that something like that was really a factor in my life until the one day I was talking to my mom and she was like, I'm concerned about you. And, my mom's always been pretty open as far as like always wanting to help me and always being concerned for my health. And she could tell that like my mental health was like rapidly declining at this point. She was like, you need help. She's like, you're having serious problems. And I'm not gonna be like, oh, I'm perfect. Like there's nothing wrong with me. I have serious mental health issues sometimes. I think everybody does. But yeah, the postpartum depression and anxiety and stuff like that, I feel like there's a lot of stigmatism around that, and like people don't really understand it, and a lot of women are embarrassed of it. There's like so many different forms and people don't talk about it. But I think a lot of people think that like postpartum depression is automatically connected with like people wanting to kill their children or like, crazy stuff like that. And that's not what it is always. I mean, most of the time I don't think that is what it is. It's more of like you don't want to do the dishes, you don't want to wash your hair, you don't want to get off the couch, stuff like that. But my mom was always really supportive, of me getting help and like trying different things to kind of get me back to where I needed to be. So even though we didn't talk about it as kids, as an adult, she really embraced the whole thought of like, we're not perfect,
Yeah. I feel like when you don't have verbiage for how you feel, you hesitate to tell people because there's really no way. I mean, you could describe it all you want, but if there's not a word for it, somebody who hasn't gone through that really isn't going to understand. And so I would have moments where I'd be having what I now know is like a panic attack or just freaking out. And I had to keep it to myself because how are you going to tell somebody, hey, my chest is beating really fast, I'm having trouble breathing, I'm freaking out right now. And they're just like, why? Like, what's going on? And so a lot of people who have mental health struggles, unfortunately, suffer in silence because people don't talk about it. There's this negative stigmatism around it. Like you mentioned, not everybody deals with it. And so you'll be talking to people who have no idea what you're talking about. And it's something a conversation that isn't had enough. So that just adds another layer to, out of nowhere, I'm going to come out with this really awkward topic and talk to people who don't know what I'm talking about. And it's better off if I just don't say anything. How was it when you kind of, I don't want to necessarily say embraced, but we're open to the idea that maybe I'm struggling with some things, maybe my mom is right, and that became kind of part of your like process?
So the first time, I never ever had a panic attack until after I had just had Luna. So at this point, I had no idea what was going on. I felt like I was dying. Like my brain was just telling me that I was going to die. And it's so weird. It's really like, if you haven't experienced it, you won't know what I'm talking about. But it literally, like, every part of your body is telling you that you're going to die and you can't breathe. And my hands were shaking really bad. Like my whole body was shaking. It felt like I was going to pass out. My heart rate was like crazy high. I think it was like 11 o'clock at night. And this was going on for like a half an hour, and it is exhausting. And I called my mom and I was like, Mom, I gotta go to the ER or something. I think I'm dying. Like, I think I'm actually dying of something right now. I don't know what's going on. And she was like, you need to come over. Like, I want to see you. And ever since that first panic attack, I had, oh my God, like 20 a week from that point on for at least a good 2 months afterwards. Those 2 months after I had Luna were like just a complete blur. Like, thank God I had Zach, because if I didn't, my kids would probably be dead from like neglect because I couldn't get off of my couch. But after I recognized that, I was like, all right, let's go to the doctor and let's try some meds. So like I tried Zoloft, and then I tried like going to the gym to get like all of the adrenaline out and everything like that. And I just was really open to trying anything I could possibly try to like get it under control. And I still have really bad anxiety over like stupid stuff, but I don't have panic attacks anymore, which is a really big positive. But it was a lot easier once I recognized what it was and knew that there was like somebody that I could talk to. Like I called my OB. My mom was like, call your OB and she'll prescribe you something. And my OB was so understanding. And I was like, oh, I feel so much better. Like I'm not crazy. I wasn't actually dying, but I'm also not crazy.
Yes. And I think it's pretty cool that you documented your journey on some of these medications, because I feel like when people do have these struggles, they are so worried that they're going to go and be all drugged up on meds and become these like different people. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I mean, everybody has a different reaction to it, but by documenting that, you again, reading some of the comments on some of your videos, a lot of people are like resonating with the information, saying meds might not be for everybody. These things work for me. They might not work for you. Thank you. Like I always thought that was really cool of you. And I was around during these 2 months that you were dealing with some of these struggles. And it's one of those things where you don't really know. You hear about these things, but you never really, at least to me, I've never had an experience with anybody who was suffering like postpartum or anything like that. So in the moment, it's like you don't really know how to handle it. So I remember my experience with Nas during this time. I'd be trying to make her laugh, trying to make light of the situation. And if anybody knows me, I'm very lighthearted. I show love through like insults and stuff like that. So just like trying to make light of situations. And when I noticed something was wrong, was like Nas has like a really loud, obnoxious laugh when something's really funny. And she wasn't laughing like that. So I was like, something's wrong. Like, she just doesn't seem to like really be all there. And as time started to progress, I started to realize that I should probably stop like trying to make light of this. Like if she really is going through something, it's probably something serious. Like maybe I should reel it back in a little bit. And to be able to see all that happening firsthand from giving birth and then afterwards and kind of where you are today, I think it is awesome that you documented your journey, that you were able to try a whole bunch of different things to see what worked for you, and really wouldn't stop until you felt like you were at a good place, like right now. I don't compliment Nas very often, so let's not get used to this, but
Never.
It's really impressive. Seriously, it's really impressive. I feel like one of the reasons I wanted to record was because of this. I feel like in the times we're in with COVID, mental health is starting to get talked about more now than I feel like it ever has before. It is that negative stigmatism that we were talking about is slowly starting to disappear, and it's coming to the forefront a lot. And so I feel like people watching your videos, because every time people watch these, they think that, we are the most confident people in the world. We don't struggle with anything. We're perfect. And it's like, once you kind of peel the curtain back, you get to see us as real people. So I'm sure a lot of your followers are probably liking your makeup videos and your hair videos and really wanting to get to know you on a deeper level. And I thought it'd be cool for them to listen to this, anyone who's struggling with mental health to listen to this, anyone who has ever been a teen mom to listen to this, and to kind of get an idea for how they can overcome some of these struggles and some of these things that they're dealing with.
Yeah, it's always nice to like see people who comment on my videos and say like, I really appreciate you because you're real. And that's like one thing that I've always strived to be. I never want to be somebody that I'm not, like, ever. I will always be honest and upfront about who I am, even if I'm a freak. I don't care. Like, I want people to know that I am a freak so that they can know that it's okay to be a freak too, I don't ever want to make anybody feel uncomfortable. And I want people to know that like depression and anxiety and panic attacks and like social anxiety and everything like that is completely normal. And we have days where we're ugly, and we have days where we feel fat, and we have days where we feel like we're just completely unsuccessful, but like everybody has those days. And I don't ever want to be like somebody who pretends that everything is perfectly fine and like I'm all that. That will never be me. I will always be real with people, because I feel like that's really important, especially on a platform like YouTube or any social media in general, because people take you so seriously. So it's kind of refreshing to just be able to be myself and not feel like anybody expects anything else out of me.
No, I think that's what I feel like. The more people who watch your videos and continue to kind of subscribe to you are starting to notice that, and just someone easy to relate to, especially when they know some of your background and some of the things that you've gone through. I feel like this is going to be great for you and great for your followers to be like, wow, I already really liked her. I had no idea she was going through some of these things. Like, this is going to be amazing. Nas, before we go, quick plug-in for all of your social media frenzy outlets and your subscribers. What are your handles?
All right. So Instagram, I have a love-hate relationship with Instagram. This is like my 5th Instagram account. So I don't have a whole lot of content on there right now. I don't post anything special. It's really just like my family and like nature pictures and some selfies. That's pretty much all it is. But my Instagram is at Nasya, Nasya .Merook, Merook. And then my YouTube is literally just my name, Nasya Merook. I don't use Snapchat a whole lot, and my Facebook, I like to keep it just to family members. So strictly Instagram and YouTube. That's it.
Instagram and YouTube.
Leave me alone everywhere else.
Nas, before you go, any last comments, questions, anything else you wanted to put out there into the universe?
No, I appreciate you for having me on your podcast and on your channel.
Of course. Well, Nas, thank you. You are officially our second hero. I know you don't see yourself that way, but you had multiple times throughout life that life threw a little curveball at you. Again, teen mom and struggles with pregnancy and your relationship and mental health struggles, but you are in a very good place today. You have 3 beautiful children who I love. Second one is my least favorite, but that's a story.
Mine too.
Right. He's always dirty for some reason, even if he's never been outside.
He's always dirty.
It's weird. Makes weird gun noises. He's just a weird kid. But at 24 years old, you're monetized on YouTube, married, great husband, 3 beautiful children, embracing yourself, your mental health, and all these other things. So thank you for telling your story. Thank you for being a hero. And I'll probably see you at some point during this week.
Yeah, no, I'm avoiding you.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are out. Peace out, everybody.
Bye.